Whether you've just finished your latest project build or maybe you're just getting started in the world of modifications, here is in no particular order 10 fantastic cars to pick from when it comes to your next project car. Let's just jump straight into it. Like Philip DeFranco, Philip the Jazer. Toyota Starlet / Glanza EP91. Ireland is addicted to Toyota. Toyota built this country. Half the feckin' nation were driving Toyotas. You couldn't move 10 foot without tripping over a Toyota. If you sat down on a sofa too fast, a Toyota would roll out of your pocket. So there is no doubt that the Glanza was always going to become an icon of the Irish car scene. This was the unofficial first car for like 85% of the young lads in Ireland. This was the car to have. They're lightweight, they're easy to work on. There is a huge following for them here in Ireland. The Turbo Glanza was the dream for half the lads in Ireland during the early 2000s. We actually have two of them. There's also a little bit of rally heritage in them as well. A lot of these cars nowadays are ended up being rallied or motocrossed even. Or rallycross, not motocross. Motocross is the bikes. You wouldn't fit that in a bike track. The clean Glanza shells are starting to creep up in value, but you can still get a relatively cheap Starlet shell for a good, decent price. Give you a couple of examples from what I can see currently on Facebook Marketplace. A good, clean, built Glanza, you're looking at about 11,000. So they are going up in value and they're only going to continue to go up. The average price you're looking at in around kind of 7,000 to 9,000. But to get yourself a nice clean shell for starting off point, you'll pick one up for in around maybe 1,500, 2,500. The Mazda MX-5, Mark 1 and Mark 2. MX-5 gets a lot of stick for being a hairdresser's car. Well, the joke's on you because I get my hair dressed like every 2 to 3 months, and do you know what? I'd bet you get the same. So you need hairdressers, folks, okay? This is a legendary car in every metric, okay? Yeah, they're small, they're cute, they're not exactly all that intimidating, but from a driving point of view, these cars are just so much fun. I have one myself. I have a little Mark 1, and I absolutely love it to bit. It's got a perfect 50-50 weight balance ratio, doesn't have a limited slip, but there's loads of aftermarkets and you can get one pretty easy. Also, the Mark 2s and the Mark 1s share a lot of parts, so finding bits is not that difficult. But like most cars in the Irish market, rust is the biggest killer, especially around the rear arches. You want to check there if you are ever going to look at one. Don't be intimidated by it. You can always fix rust, or if you can't do it, somebody can do it. You can find someone to do it. Someone will fix it. Don't throw the car away because it's a little rusty, is what I'm saying. But you will see these cars everywhere. They're at home, on a track, on a grip session, and a drift session. These are super popular cars. They're incredibly capable, and they're just so much fun. So I have one. I recommend you get one. They are just, the MX-5 is always the answer. But like everything else, they are starting to creep up in value. Just to give you a couple of ideas, a 95 NA 1.8, which is kind of the car that I have, they're going for about 4,000 at the minute, which is the one that you want, is the 1.8. Don't believe this 1.6 slander. You want the 1.8. Whereas a clean Mark II or the MB, they're going up a little bit more. They're about 6,000 to 9,000 for a nice, clean, good one. But you can still get them pretty cheap. You're looking at a cheap one in around kind of 1,500, maybe up to 3,000, maybe 4,000 for a cheap one in good nick. But that will need a little bit of work. So a great car for a project car. Plus they're super easy to work on. Also, this is a fantastic time to tell you, we've got merch. So head over to ToolzwithCarz.com, pick yourself up a hat. We've got hoodies, we've got t-shirts, we've even got banners. We've got loads of stuff on the website. Check it out if you want to help support the page financially. If you don't want to get yourself some merch, why not become a member? It's down here somewhere. When I say the word member, it should do something. When I say the word like the video, something else should happen. Anyway, subscribe, back to the show. Honda Civic, EG, EK, or even the EPs. Any Civic, basically, really any Civic. This is Ireland's JDM backbone, to be fair. Huge aftermarket, reliability out the wazoo, parts everywhere and anywhere. It's super easy to come by for bits. Every Irish lad has either wanted one or has had one. Obviously, famous for the VTEC swaps, but to get yourself a nice VTEC engine, they are getting rather expensive. The B series, K series, or even the turbo ones, they are starting to get expensive, the Civic, so this is where the problem lies. Even to find shells or anything like that, it is now starting to become gold dust to get anything in relatively good shape. it is going to cost you a pretty penny. Like for a shell, you're going to be talking like minimum 1,500, 2.5, something like that for a good clean shell. That is just kind of the way things are going, unfortunately. If you kind of want to cut out the hard work and just buy something already built, like a good clean, well-built modded Civic at the minute is going to cost you somewhere in around kind of maybe 5,000 to 10,000 euro plus. But don't let that intimidate you. These are incredible cars to drive. They're so much fun. Who doesn't love a bit of VTEC? So if you have the opportunity and you find one at a good price, absolutely snatch it up. Volkswagen Golfs, any generation, really. Pretty much you can play it safe with any generation of a Golf in terms of becoming a project car. Everything from the Mark II all the way up to the Mark V, Mark VI. Huge following, massive availability for parts, loads of aftermarket options. Volkswagen have a huge presence here in Ireland. They're pretty much the poster child when it comes to the diesel scene, to that Reekie scene. The most common thing you'll ever hear at a Reekie car meet is that a Reekie Bora, because like 80% of people want a Reekie Bora, and I'll be honest, I kind of want a Reekie Bora now. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, you just can't go wrong. You grab a Golf, slap some BBSs on it, and you've got yourself a pretty good looking set of wheels, pretty good ride. So get on the buzz, get yourself a Golf. Soft enough day here in Botswana. Also, I probably shouldn't have come to record a video in the work shed while it's lashing rain outside. I'm not known for my intelligence. This is the money maker here. Let's be real. I think it's easing off. Well, on with the show. K11 Nissan Micra. Your granny's shopping trolley turned young lad's weapon. These things are so popular right now in Ireland. And do you know what? I completely get it. I understand it. I want one. I want to get one. Someone please sell me one. These things are cheap, they're reliable, they're fun, and they are the perfect car if you're brand new to modifying cars. They're super easy to work on. They're not very complex. There's lots of room in the engine bay, and they're very simple. Very simple, very straightforward car. There's not much to go wrong with them. It's a great jumping on point for a lot of young guys. Also as well, they've got incredible reliability. The little 1.3 1 litre engines, those things, like you can give them absolutely dog abuse and they'll just keep asking for more. They just will not die. You cannot kill them. They're just fantastic. Also, big shout out
the mintiest Micra.
That guy, I absolutely love his content. He is just building the coolest little Micra just in front of his house. So check him out on YouTube. Really good content, really interesting. Go follow him, go give him a like, go give him a subscribe. That's really popular for the likes of like rallycross or like cheap rallying. If you want to get into rallying and motorsport in general, they're pretty cheap to come by and to modify and get them up to spec. But also they just look cool. I'm liking this whole new K scene that's coming into Ireland. People are really starting to get onto these small, little strange cars, and I am absolutely all for it. In terms of price for getting yourself one, to get yourself something clean and tidy, you're probably looking at maybe like 500 for something on the rough end, something in around maybe like 1,500 for something on the clean end. So they are starting to go up in price, but to get yourself a good clean running project, they're still relatively cheap. In around kind of like $2,000, $2,500 will get you something nice. IS200. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say potentially Ireland's second most favourite JDM car of all time, right behind the E86. It's an absolute Irish import hero. Every young lad has it. You cannot go to any kind of car meet, car show without at least 48,000 IS200s showing up and just bouncing it off the limiter. Cannons out the back, shooting flames. I mean, they're just, of course people love them, but they do get a lot of slack as well. The real kind of Marmite of a car. People love them and hate them. But I mean, in terms of good points, they're rear-wheel drive, got a 6-speed in them. Styling, some people love it, some people hate it. I think they look pretty good, but like every popular car, they are starting to go up in price, and these will continue to go up in price for a long time because they are super popular. Like a standard one, you're probably looking at in around kind of like $5,000 to $6,000 for something, okay, something decent. Obviously, a cleaner model is going to cost you even more again. But the Achilles heels to this car and to so many Japanese cars here in Ireland is rust. These things are known for it. They're prone to it. I think they love it. They love getting rusty. There's nothing IS200 loves more than being covered in rust. I think that car doesn't want to be alive. I think it's trying to unalive itself. That car has a death wish. They don't want to exist, but every young lad in the country is refusing to let them die. So if you are looking at an IS200, do your due diligence, check them out for rust, rear arches, sills. So just, yeah, take your time if you are looking at one. A lot of them have rust, and if you're looking at one that doesn't have rust, it probably has rust. So take your time, bring a magnet, or, you know, just rust. Good, rust. BMW E36 and E46. This is the German's answer to the IS200, yeah? It's a super popular car. And of course you can see why. Look, the rear-wheel drive, BMW reliability, they're super available. I say reliability, actually, they're very prone to blowing up. Again, not gonna lie, we actually have a couple of these down the yard just waiting to get to it someday. Parts are super easy to come by. Availability is out the wazoo. You'll get bits in Ireland, you'll get bits in the UK, and if you're badly stuck, you can go over to the mainland and you'll get bits left, right and centre. Massive following in Europe, obviously. Huge aftermarket scene with them as well. Also, really good car. If you're just looking for something cheap and cheerful for a slab car, they're pretty easy to come by. Prices are still relatively low, but again, in time, they're going to start to creep up. At the minute, for an E36 project, you're probably looking in around kind of 1,500 to 3 grand to get you going. That's going to need some work. For the E46s, you're looking a little bit higher still. You're looking around 2,000 to 4,000 for them. But the good news is parts are still relatively cheap. When you blow the engine, when you have engine issues, the engines are still relatively cheap, so that's always good. Ford Fiestas Mark 4 and 5. Affordable little hot hatch, great entry project car. Z-Tech is also incredibly fun. This is a 2000s Irish car classic. Very popular car with young lads back in the day, although like 88% of them were Halford's disasters. But yeah, clean example now are fairly rare. They were quite prone to rust, which makes them, in my eyes, a little bit cooler if you can get a nice one. But a great way to get into any kind of like project cars before you make the jump over the rear wheel drive. Cheap, fun, reliable, get your rust checked out. For a decent running one at the minute, you're probably looking at around kind of like 2-3 grand, something like that. But for a tidy example, you're looking at closer maybe to 4.5. So they are hard to come by, but again, they are a cool car. A little bit underrated, I would say. You don't see enough of them, I don't think, in the Irish car scene. Cool car all the same, and I think an absolute banging project. Opel Corsa Bs and Cs. The BBCs. The CBBs, Bs, BB, the BBC. Shells are pretty dirt cheap. They're still relatively cheap to come by. The cars themselves, pretty lightweight at the best of times, and because of that, they're really fun. They're just a great car. They look cool. Also, massive part of the Max Power era here in Ireland in the early 2000s. Everybody wanted them. Everybody had them. They were the car of the scene for a long time. Tiny, lightweight, and scary fast when they had a little bit too much power, especially when you had a red top in them. Shells, you're probably talking something like maybe 500, 1,500 euro for a shell. They were quite prone for rust, especially around the rear fuel tank and in with that spare wheel sit, so check them out from there. We have like, I want to say like 8 of them down the yard, and pretty much every single one of them has rust around there, so trying to find one that doesn't have rust there is probably going to be difficult. That is where you want to look, is around that rear fuel tank. But if you want to get yourself a nice, clean, fully built one, you're looking at something in around kind of 3 to maybe even 6 or 7,000. So they are creeping up in value. Great looking car, loads of history with them. Very cool, and is a great project car to get you started. Fuck off! Why didn't I record this in my house? We need some kind of sugar daddy to buy us a recording studio. Subaru Impreza. Why is it a great project? Well, first of all, it's a rally icon. It's all-wheel drive, and the Burble is the wet dream of every Irish lad in the country. Also, I'm pretty sure Colin McRae at some point must have come over and like ran into the doll and just put Bertie Ahern in a headlock, and he was like, "You gotta make sure that every Irish lad is buying one of these cars," because like there's at least 6 of them in my local area I know of. When these cars first came out, me included, everybody thought they were pretty ugly. The blob eye was especially when you're comparing it to what came beforehand. It was such a strange design choice that they ended up changing the front end fairly quickly because they were not selling. But now it's kind of gotten a new coat of paint. People are starting to appreciate them more. People are maybe thinking, maybe that pig ugly car is actually not as pig ugly as I thought. So they are starting to have a bit more of a cult following. They're built for the back roads here in Ireland. Mechanically, they are a little bit more needy, so they're probably a little bit more on the advanced side of doing a project. There's nothing a boxer engine loves more than starving itself of oil and blowing a head gasket. Prices are going up for rough blah by at the minute, you're talking like 5,000 to 7,000 for a rough one. For a clean one, you're talking up onto 10 plus, maybe in around kind of like 12 or 13. And if you're looking for a nice STI model, you are, it's getting a little bit more spicy again. Absolute wonder weapon of a project car. Obviously, you're either on one side of the fence, you're on the Evo side, or you're on the Impreza side. And if you're on the side, you're in another little small subsection somewhere out the back. They're trying to hide you away. They don't want you front and centre. But that's it. That's the list. That is 10 project cars that I think are going to make a fantastic project for you. Whether you're a newbie, whether you're more advanced, whether you've got no money, whether you've got some money. So if you like that list, please do give us a like. If you're new here, give us a subscription. And if you've got any ideas for project cars, leave them in the comments below.